It does make you wonder. And so we ask you tonight, are we a nanny state? Is the government trying to impose social justice by providing cradle-to-grave entitlements? And where do the laws and handouts to protect us actually end, or should they? We are addressing this topic tonight. We have Fox 7 photocolorist live in our studio with a panel of guests of Central Texans to weigh in. But first, we have John Bush from Texans for Accountable Government, who thinks that the government is just too involved in our lives, and Andy Brown from Travis County Democrats, who says we need these laws and policies to protect us and keep us safe. But John, I want to start with you. I'm sure the most frightening words in your vocabulary when you hear a lawmaker say something has to be done, which means more policies, more laws. Let's fix the problem with spending more money.
Yeah, in my opinion, the only proper role of government is to protect its citizens' life, liberty, and property. Sure, we have many common problems as a society, but history has shown that communities, that the free market is more apt to solve these problems than government force, than laws, than government coercion. And I believe when we come together as communities and we work to genuinely help each other out to solve these common problems, to limit the harm that happens to us, then we're going to be able to do that a lot more effectively and efficiently.
All right, but I know that you really don't want any laws. I mean, at some point we can't have anarchy. My family came from communism, they came from Cuba. We don't want all government, but at some point you do have to draw the line.
Yeah, I think on the video, just about single thing that you showed draws the line for me, especially the mandatory vaccinations. Whenever you have a needle being inserted to your body, who knows what's in the vaccines? They've been known to have mercury and aluminum as well.
But
I think
then
it's
again,
a major problem.
It is a public safety issue. I want to send it over right down to Andy Brown. Andy, what do you say about this? We do know the Democrats, they want bigger government. At least they're known for that. They're known for the hand-holding, the regulation. Where do you stand on these vaccines and the other mandatory regulations and laws we have?
Loriana, the government is not some nameless foreign entity. The government is us, and it is by us, and it is accountable to us. So while I respect libertarians like John and Chris Bailey, who's running for state representative, I feel there is a role for government to pass... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, to pass laws to keep us from committing reckless behavior, from helping our armed forces, to protecting our environment.
But to keep us safe, so, you know, telling someone they don't have the right to smoke in a certain area, or the texting laws, I mean, then you might as well ban changing a DVD in the car or arguing with your kids. Where do you stop?
I think where there's reckless behavior involved, such as texting, I think that that's a fine place for government to say that you can't text while driving. I think it is fine for the government to say that you can't smoke in public areas, because secondhand smoke has been proven to give you lung cancer.
But why is the government, why do they have that rule, and why is it their responsibility? What happened to personal responsibility? We're talking about nanny state. Nannies, they take care of somebody, and eventually you grow up and you learn your adult responsibility. Where does it end?
Sure, and the government, again, it is us. It's not someone else. The government is us, and if you don't like what's happening, they're accountable to you, and that's the great thing about our form of democracy.
So another issue people talked about, the salt ban that they're looking at in New York. We also have the trans fat ban happening in New York, California. John, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think, as you said, there is a great deal of personal responsibility that we have as individuals, and I think when we exercise this responsibility, we're able to make decisions for ourselves, and after all, the individual is the one that can decide how he wants to act based on his own beliefs. On the contrary, government intrusion actually hurts the health of Americans. For example, they have subsidies and tariffs on the incoming sugar, which makes sugar very expensive. That's why we have high fructose corn syrup
these
now
are
in all of our
outliers.
drinks.
You got to agree that seat belts are okay. It's okay for the government to say you have to wear a seatbelt.
Right.
In fact, a Republican, Leo Berman, was the one that carried the bill last session, saying that you have to have a seatbelt in the back seat. And I think that is something that we agree with pretty much across the aisle, that when it saves 10,000 lives a year, there's a good reason for that to be a law.
Yeah, but
I put my seatbelt on because I don't want to die. It's personal responsibility. I think anybody that has a sound mind can make that decision, and we can help those without a sound mind to make better decisions as well.
yeah, I mean, guys, we both know that salt could raise your blood pressure, could lead possibly to heart disease, or at least have some sort of risk related to it. But does it mean that the government should get involved and tell you how much salt, or perhaps just educate you?
No, education's great. I think whenever the studies started coming out that trans fat was harmful, the market created a solution by providing a lot more products that don't have trans fat. I don't think we need the government for this solution. I think there's a market for trans fat food. People are going to eat it. We can't, legislate behavior through laws. They're going to have a fat chance actually doing that.
A fat chance. John, have you ever had a piece of fried chicken made with trans fat and one without trans fat? And can you tell me that there's any kind of difference discernible between those two?
Yeah.
I can't see one. I've had both.
But Andy, if we know it's not good for you, then shouldn't people have the choice to really say, hey, it's not good for me, I'm going to choose not to have it? Why not educate the public and say, you know what, let's not be a nanny state. We're going to tell you that it could be bad for you. Don't have it.
Sure, I think that's
choice.
great, and I think that New York may have gone a little bit far on that. But when it's at a minimum, I think the FDA, I think we should all agree that the FDA and its requirements for labeling on drugs and food has been helpful to this country. We no longer live in a society like the TV show Mad Men, where dashboards are made out of metal and you can smoke around infants. Those things have come to pass because of government regulation and government studies.
You know what, guys? We can go on this one forever because I know there's a lot of people on both sides. It is a hot topic, but I do want to thank you for coming in. John Bush, Texans for Accountable Government, Andy Brown, Travis County Democrats. Thank you both for joining us. And now we want to hear some other opinions. Fody is joining us now in the studio with a panel of guests to hear what they have to say. Fody?
Yeah, Laura.